Welcome to The Next Level, conversations that propel business. The next hour is all about the entrepreneur, why they start businesses, how they make their businesses grow, how they overcome failures and achieve success. Your hosts are Bob Gibbons, founder of REATA Commercial Realty, a commercial real estate advisory and tenant advocacy firm, and Stephen Nooner, founder and CEO of ALKALI, a company with a unique process that helps businesses more effectively buy and manage their insurance programs. Bob and Stephen will ask probing questions to find impactful solutions that will help take your business to the next level. And now, here's Bob Gibbons and Stephen Nooner.
Welcome to The Next Level, conversations that propel business. I'm your host, Stephen Nooner.
And this is Bob Gibbons, and Nooner just threw me a curveball.
I can still intro the guest. Come on, Bob.
That's okay. I'm good.
We're testing your entrepreneurial spirit here.
I'm good with an audible, having to change things on the fly.
I'm not. So
You're not?
Let's see how you do.
Well, all right. So we are excited today. Craig Jones is our guest. Craig is the founder and CEO of Groggy Dog.
Is that a brewery?
A Groggy Dog. What would make you think that's a brewery, Stephen?
I don't know, Groggy Dog.
Groggy? Does groggy mean that you're necessarily...
From the guy who doesn't drink, that's how I affiliate it, yes.
Okay.
Just kidding.
Well, Groggy Dog is a cool company. They are an unusual company in the way they do their business, so I'm excited to learn more about it. But they do all kinds of screen printing, embroidery, promotional items, and about half of their business comes from school districts, the other half from businesses and other sources. And they have locations in Denton, Louisville, Plano, McKinney, Frisco, and they're getting ready to open up another one here shortly, I'm sure. Voted the best of Denton and best of Denton County several years in a row. And it doesn't say best what, though. Yeah, well, I'm a little nervous about what that means.
We're going to talk about that, and to me, you sum it up to the wisdom we're going to get to learn from here. 45 people, 18 years in business.
That's cool. And you can learn more at groggydogonline.com or groggydogsspiritwear.com.
Not spirits, spiritwear.
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 Welcome, Craig.
Welcome, Craig.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
How painful was that?
It wasn't too bad.
All right, well, yeah, maybe we should do this more. Well, we like to start every show off with the wisdom of others. And you broke a record. We always ask the guests for the audience to provide favorite quotes, and you broke the record for most shared.
Oh,
so
nice.
Congratulations.
Oh, I would have never
Trophies
thought I would have won that.
We often get zero.
Right?
We usually get one.
But my favorite, I'm going to pick.
Well,
can I pick?
fine.
Right,
Apparently
Bob,
you
you're about
can.
to jump in. But I have never let my schooling interfere with my education.
Right.
Mark Twain. I love that quote, but why is it meaningful to you?
Well, I'm not the smartest person around, and all of my learning came when I got into business. So every day is, either watching a podcast or reading a book or doing something. You got to continually learn. So don't let where you came from get in the way of where you're going.
Boy, that's
for sure.
Yeah, I love that. I mean, we had a couple. You've heard of Dalworth Clean, the carpet guys, and they clean a lot of other things besides carpet. And those guys really impressed me because, they started this company a long time ago. And there were two guys on the show, and I can't remember. One of them, I think, did go to college or part of it, and the other one didn't. But these were some of the smartest guys I knew because they were always learning, always reading.
Right.
But literally, a book that he found in like one of the apartment. They were cleaning the carpet,
right.
the floor, the carpet. And they found a book, and that book literally changed the trajectory of their business.
But what was important, though, was not in the reading of the book. It was in the applying of the concepts to their business. That was the key, and that was what I found to be most impressive about them.
Right.
Which is the education versus the schooling, right?
Well, yeah, I mean, I've learned more starting my business and running it than I ever learned in school.
Yeah.
You're just in a different place at that time, so... and it just depends on if I'm concentrating on sales, what appeals to me, or marketing, or what part of it. As an entrepreneur, you're doing all sorts of it. So
now, pop quiz: do you know what the single most often given first job was for an entrepreneur as a kid?
I believe that I heard that maybe a newspaper, paper route. or mowing lawns or something.
Mowing lawns.
Yeah.
Based on our personal experience on this
large
show.
samples.
Yeah, right.
We've had more people say lawn mowing than any other thing. But yeah, paper route we've heard. But mobile detail company we have not heard. So what were you thinking?
You know, I wasn't thinking.
When
I
did you do
had a
this?
full-time job as a district manager, and I just kind of wanted to get into doing something, the entrepreneurial spirit, and I saw this mobile detail, and it's like, well, I can do that,
Yeah.
you know, on the weekends and at night, and that's the hardest job that you'll ever
Oh, man,
have.
it's so hard.
Oh, it's terrible. It takes 4 hours to do it right, and I learned
For
a
one
lot
car?
from that. One car, yeah, to do it right.
Wow.
It does, and it just doesn't pay enough.
First leadership role I ever had actually was managed a detail shop, and it was
Okay.
only because I could say I spoke a tiny bit of Spanish. I mean, like I could say "limpia más aquí," and that was like you're promoted.
Right.
And that was the toughest job I've ever had. The chemicals, the heat in those cars.
The heat. I did it when I lived in Broken Arrow, and the heat and the humidity, it was just terrible.
Brutal. I hope
You
I
know,
don't have cancer or something later.
if you can get through that, you can get through anything, right?
No kidding.
So what led you to starting Groggy Dog?
Well, when I came out of college, I immediately went to work as a part-time sales rep for a company called U.S. Tobacco that did Copenhagen and Skål.
Uh-huh.
And I ended up getting a full-time job while I had 30 hours left in college. So
Oh, that's cool.
I was a territory rep and had Eastern New Mexico, Texas Panhandle, and Oklahoma Panhandle.
Oh, my.
And 750 accounts, and ended up doing that for a little while, then was promoted to a district manager, and did that for 5 years, then was the regional marketing manager here in the Dallas area and had all 6 states around Texas, and then went up to Connecticut, Greenwich, Connecticut, to our corporate office, and in strategic planning and business development, and was there for a year and a half, and decided that this Texas boy needed to come back home, and saw kind of where the tobacco industry was going, and got a little close to it.
Uh-huh.
Knew that I wasn't really, wanting to do that, so I came back home and went to work for a person that did a lot of business with, and they ended up getting in a little bit of trouble with a company, and they had to fight a legal battle with them, so we were just without a job and just started Groggy Dog up with a couple of other artists.
So you became an entrepreneur because you got laid off.
Right.
That sounds familiar. That's
yes,
my story.
I know. I hear that quite a bit.
Well, if you're not going to do it on purpose, you might as well do it after you get kicked in the pants, right?
Right. Well, I can tell you a little, whenever I was in Connecticut and I'd gone up through the ranks and, 12 years or whatever, and, I was kind of getting away from church, and I had 2 little girls and just wanted to do something different. I said, God, just, make me a little bit closer to you or whatever, and all of this just went bam, bam, bam.
Wow.
And then whenever I started Groggy Dog, we went through 4 years of really tough stuff, and brought me down to my knees where I had to rely only on him, and took away all the money that I had, and, where you just, you have to get down on your knees every day, and
Cool.
He got me through that, and it was a great deal. So moral of the story: be careful what you pray for. But it all worked out. I mean, I look back, and I've everything that I do now with Groggy Dog, I've done with U.S. Tobacco, whether it's building a territory or being a manager or being marketing or strategic planning. I'm doing it all now. So there's a plan in place.
But I'm really confused. So you didn't just start Groggy Dog and it just grew immediately to...
Well, it took only about 12 years to get to that point, but
it wasn't overnight success is what everyone expects. But
so why did you choose the business that you did?
Well, really, I just didn't want to get back in the corporate world, and I didn't want to commute to Dallas and kind of go in that. And the artists that worked there for the company I was working with, they had experience in screen printing, and they were great designers. And I thought, well, I came out of corporate. I know everything. I can, I can, we can start this business and make it go. So
the company that you worked for after U.S. Tobacco was generally in the same space?
And no, they bought some. They did some screen printing for a company called Russell Newman that worked for Foley's and Dillard's and Walmart, and that's where these two artists also worked before, and then came to work for them as they acquired their equipment. That's when everything was going. All production was going overseas, and.
So why did you pick Groggy Dog, or was that even the first name you came up with?
Well, I wanted something that would stand out, something that you could brand. And,
Check.
And, right.
That's a great name.
I didn't want Craig Jones, Craig's whatever.
Yeah.
And so in one of the artists in his portfolio, when he was coming in to do some freelance for me, he had this frog, and he was kind of drooped down at a table, and he had this big oversized mug of coffee. And his hair had these big old droopy eyes, and in the background he had a sign that said "Groggy Frog Graphics" or whatever, and Groggy just stuck in my head for like 2 weeks.
But you like dog better than frog?
Well, I'm a big Eskimo Joe's fan, so changed the frog to a dog, gave it big teeth, droopy eyes, and went with that.
So is it Groggy Dog, period, or is there something past that?
Well, it was Groggy Dog Sportswear, but now we do a lot more promotional products. I felt like Groggy Dog by itself didn't have the ring to it. So now we're Groggy Dog instead of Groggy Dog Sportswear. Everybody thinks that we do numbering and uniforms and stuff like that. We don't.
Okay. So whenever you decided to go out on your own, what was the first idea? I mean, you said screen printing. Was that the main thing, or did you think through all the other things that you can print stuff on?
Well, no, it started out just screen printing and embroidery, and then we were going to start with our own line of Groggy Dog apparel, thinking that everybody would just come in, and that was back in 2000 when T-shirt graphics was really, really strong. You'd see them in the malls and stuff like that. And thought that we would get that going and get a little cash flow with our own brand while we got the other up and running. So that was the number one mistake.
Because people didn't just flock in to buy that?
Right, yeah. We wasn't in an area where it had a good enough high traffic area.
So where was your first store?
It was an end cap in a strip center.
Okay. All right. We will be back in a moment. We're going to go to commercial, and we'll be back talking more with Craig Jones at Groggy Dog.
Stick around.
Hi, this is Bob Gibbons with REATA Commercial Realty. If your office lease is going to be expiring in the next year or two, the one thing I would tell you definitely do not want to do is exercise a renewal option. Now, that may sound a little nuts. When you negotiate for that renewal option, why wouldn't you actually want to use it? Well, the reason is because while you want to have one as a reservation for your space so the landlord can't lease the space out from under you, that option may not actually work the way you want it to now. It may have made sense 5 years ago, but it doesn't today. The only thing that changes when you exercise a renewal option are the expiration date and the rent. But you may want to do other things like have another option to renew, have an option to terminate or expand. You may want to be able to expand now or have a new base year for your operating expenses. There's all kinds of things that need to be considered. So we recommend that you renegotiate, not renew. For more information, contact me, Bob Gibbons, at texastenantrep.com. That's texastenantrep.com.
We're back with Craig Jones, Groggy Dog. Please visit him at groggydogonline.com.
So before the break, we were starting to talk about your first location, and you said it was on the end cap of a retail strip center somewhere, right. And that people just didn't flock in all of a sudden when you opened up your T-shirt shop. What did you do when they didn't show up, and how long was it before you started doing something other than just put up the sign and unlock the door?
Well, once you see where there's a lot of money going out and very little coming in, it motivates you, especially when everything falls on your shoulders. So, it was going out and scratching and clawing to keep the doors open there for, the first few years. And, we had an embroidery machine, a forehead, and I'd run that at night, afterwards, and I was terrible at it. I hit so many hoops, and But it had to be done, and I was the only one that knew it because we had 2 other artists, and they were busy doing art, and that was our differentiation at the time. Is how we got a lot of customers, was that our artwork was just head and shoulders above everybody, and it was doing stuff a little bit different then, but really just going out and scratching and clawing, trying to get the business.
To whom? With whom?
Well, with the cities, and it takes 2 or 3 years to get in with the cities. We started in Denton, so there's small businesses, there's fun runs, there's just anybody out there that does screen printing, which it's a lot.
Yeah.
And just kind of started there, and it just developed.
So whenever you open a door and you started this business, was it just yourself? How many, you mentioned artists, so you had a couple of artists. So in one store, how many employees did you start off with?
Well, we started off with 3, and one was the outside salesperson, and she was there for about 6 months.
So she's out running around meeting businesses,
Right.
cities, municipalities, et cetera, trying to scrape up some business.
Right.
And what was it that changed? I mean, was there an inflection point or some activity that you guys were doing that suddenly started getting traction?
Well, we started doing some business with some schools, and I saw where, I remember it was Crum Middle School, and they did the small school did 400 T-shirts for spirit wear, and I'm thinking, 400 for this little deal, maybe I need to focus a little bit more on the spirit wear side of things. And I was reading Michael Gerber's book where you needed to get everything in more of a template format. So I thought, well, we got great artists, if we can come up with several designs, I can market these designs to numerous schools across, and it's easier to scale it at that point, where it only takes 15 minutes to change the artwork around. And that was the turning point for us. Started going to PTA conventions and principal conventions, and now we do a direct mail piece to 40,000 schools
Wow.
for spirit wear and for field day.
So to paraphrase, and I mean, it's probably over, but it sounds like you just hustled, and almost with all the hustle, just being aware, you stumbled into something, right?
Right. There's opportunities out there if you're just looking for them.
Yeah.
I come up with opportunities all the time. New programs that we start with each of our different locations.
Yeah. And for the audience, Michael Gerber, E-Myth, right?
Right.
Is that the one you were reading?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a great book.
Yeah, it is. One thing that we will do, where that school business has led, is we'll do about 270 school field day orders in 6 weeks. That's going on right now.
Wow.
Yeah.
270 orders in 6 weeks.
6 weeks, 270 schools across the country. And
So you start landing these school districts, and then that's a game changer. But did you already have the capacity built, or I mean, then I would gotta imagine.
No, we actually outsourced all of our screen printing in the beginning.
Okay.
I would drive to McKinney from Denton about twice a week, 3 times a week, and now I couldn't imagine doing that. But then we started with then we started doing it in-house with just a manual press, and now we have several machines.
I'm sure
that do it. Yeah, and we're just now finishing an expansion on another 4,000 square foot behind our location right now.
Congrats.
Thank you.
That's
So
exciting.
how many locations do you have now? 5?
We have 5 locations.
And do you have plans to grow beyond that?
I do. I mean, you got to continue to grow, but we just started our 3rd year of our 5-year plan. So I know that every business needs at least 5 years to really get going. So I have milestones of where they should be every year, and they're surpassing those in each of our locations. So we have a good concept and a good business model. It's just continuing to make sure they're on the right path through 5 years.
So take us back to when you had that first location. What was it that made you decide it was time for the second location?
Well, we started having a lot of customers that were in Louisville, and they kept on asking us, "Are you going to open a store here? We don't want to come across to the north, across Lake Louisville. It's a beating on 35."
Well, that's true at that time. It's a lot better today,
yes,
but only
it is.
recently.
Yeah.
And I started thinking, well, we can test this concept. It was back in 2012, and to where we just have an inside and outside representative there. And in screen printing, your biggest cost is your machinery, your machines to do it, your people to run those, and then your art staff. So each of our locations has a showroom where people can come in, touch and feel, and just talk one-on-one with an inside or outside representative. And all of the production is done in our Denton location, and then it's taken every night to each of those locations.
So does that mean that all your locations have to be within a certain distance of that Denton location? I mean, what's the maximum that you can handle?
Well, I like to stay within 30 to 45 minutes, so that so Keller is our last one that is within touch. But there's opportunities in Dallas and Fort Worth. I mean, there's probably another 5 locations easy in the Metroplex if elected to go that way with company-owned stores.
So what was what did the idea of the model? So I mean, it was Louisville. Okay, so that's number 2. Usually I find it's like number 3 where people are like, okay, we're on to something, like you're really testing it. So do you mind sharing that a little bit? And is that common? Was that for you too?
Well, at that point, everything was going kind of good. I didn't know exactly where I wanted to go at that point. And a gentleman that I respected, a financial planner in Denton, he tapped me on the shoulder at Panera Bread one day, and he said, "Hey, Craig, you need to contact this gentleman named Tom Griffith. I think he'd be good for your business, griffco.com. And he's got business strategies to help you." And so I looked at that, and I found out how you sell a business, and that was important. That was probably the most important thing that I did that changed my direction.
Really?
Yeah, because people don't plan soon enough, for sure. They just either shut the doors or it takes them a while to do that. And after I read that, I decided who is going to be my buyer. How do I want to exit? Mm-hmm. And I'm still deciding that. But I put together a 5-year plan, and each of these models initially was that I would build them up to a certain revenue level to where I could get a certain multiple. Mm-hmm. I'd sell them off individually, and that would be part of the retirement process.
So how long was it from the time you started the first location before you opened the second location?
We started thinking about it in 2014, did the 5-year business plan, and started it in the fall of 2015.
So I want to make sure I understand. So you didn't open your second location until after you had started with this Griffco?
No, we opened in 2012 our second location.
And when did you open the first location?
2000, right?
Yeah, in May 2000 was our
okay,
first
so
one.
you had 12 years between your first and second locations.
Right.
How long was it between number 2 and 3?
Then it was 3 years.
Okay.
So did a 3-year test on it to see if, okay, is this something that's manageable that we can do? And it did really well. So it's like, okay, we can scale this a little bit.
Yeah.
But, I put a 5-year plan together, and it was to open one store every 5 years for the next 5 years.
Okay.
And then the entrepreneurial, part of me, it
wasn't good enough.
It wasn't good enough, yeah. So I hear Toyota's coming into town, and it's like bringing all of these people, and I wanted to jump over into Collin County, the fast-growing Frisco, Plano, McKinney area, and I wanted to do that sooner than later. So I opened 3 stores in 6-month period.
Wow.
And it nearly killed me.
Wow.
It was a blur. I looked back on it, and I said, and I was presenting to somebody, and they said, "You opened 3 locations in 6 months," and it wasn't until that point that I realized what just happened. Because whenever you have to find the location, you have to negotiate the lease, you have to do the build out, you have to get the racks in, you have to get the people in there, and you have to train them.
Yeah.
And so we opened Plano in August, McKinney in October, and Frisco back in January of 2016.
So you take 12 years to open the second one, and then you do 3 all at once.
I know it.
Man, I got this now.
What's the life lesson here?
Yeah. Well,
But before, I mean, truly, what is the life lesson here? I mean, even though it was a heck of a lot of work, what was the result?
Well, everything is going really good. I can't complain, even despite me. Everything is going good. I look back on it now and see that I made a lot of mistakes during that time. I didn't have the proper training for the employees coming in, or find out exactly who that person was and what they needed to be, and kind of set them up to fail, because what you're opening up is 3 new locations that are just startups, starting from the ground up.
Right.
And you have to persevere through networking, calling on people, and not having a lot of stuff come through the door, So not everybody is able to just keep moving forward like that.
Okay, we're going to take another break. You're listening to The Next Level on 1190 Talk Radio.
Hi, my name is Fern, and I've been an empowered team member at ALKALI for over 5 years. I first learned about ALKALI through an online job board and was intrigued to learn that ALKALI was a Dave Ramsey endorsed local provider. But what captivated me was ALKALI's mission statement, which is closely aligned with my own beliefs. So what's kept me at ALKALI for over 5 years? First, ALKALI's 5 core values match my own. Second, I've been empowered to use my unique abilities to impact our community, our clients, and ALKALI. If you'd like to learn more about becoming an empowered ALKALI team member, visit our website, alkaliservices.com. That's ALKALI services.com.
Welcome back to The Next Level, Conversations that Propel Business. We're here with Craig Jones at Groggy Dog. You can learn more at groggydogonline.com or groggydogspiritwear.com.
It's a mouthful.
It is.
Dude, it's just fun, though, Groggy Dog.
Yeah, you can't say Groggy Dog without smiling.
No.
Right?
Much better than Groggy Frog. I mean,
Or Drunk Frog. So one of the questions I had, you were talking about before the break, we were talking about the number of locations that you opened up, and it took 12 years to open up the second one, but you opened up 3 all at once within a 6-month period. How did you make sure that when you opened those, that you weren't just spreading the same amount of sales across 5 locations instead of 2? How did you make sure that you had increasing sales?
Well, each territory is assigned certain school districts. So they have to stay within that school district line for each store location. So you're only having sales within that area, unless you have a contact and they happen to be in a different area. But like you mentioned before, 50% of our business is school business. So like our Plano store has Plano ISD and Richardson ISD, and that's the foundation. So we get each location to immediately start with the schools because that's a low-hanging fruit. We do schools really well.
And those were school districts you weren't previously doing business with.
Okay. So then there's probably an incumbent that you're having to unseat, right? So is it just that you provide so much more value than they can? I mean, how do you go in there and disrupt that?
Well, we think that we do. Our artwork and our turnaround time, our standard turnaround time for a new order coming in for artwork is 48 hours or less. And our standard print time is 1 week from receipt of sizes. So if you give us your sizes on a Tuesday, it will ship out or be ready the next Tuesday. And we stand, no matter how much volume we have, we stand behind that, and that's how our production operates.
So whenever you said earlier that you have this mailing list of 40,000, where you send that out to 40, I don't know, school districts you said, but I mean, that's not 40,000 school districts, I would assume. It's 40,000 people within school districts around the country.
It's 40,000 schools. So pre-K through 8.
Okay. So if you're sending that around the country and then you open up a new physical location somewhere, so to some extent you are marketing to all these schools and you have a new location that come in and now they are assigned some of those 40,000. Yes?
Right. If somebody comes in, say they call in from Frisco to our Denton location or our toll-free number from the direct mail piece, we'll direct them back. We'll take care of them, and then we'll direct them to our Frisco location.
But before you had that Frisco location, you would have handled them anyway.
Right.
So to some extent, you could have had some sales going on to Frisco, and then once you put the location there, then you would have serviced it out of there. Are you finding that the amount of business that you're able to do within a school district increases dramatically once you put a physical location within that school district?
Absolutely. They want to deal with someone local. And that's why we have our showrooms there, so that they can walk in, they can talk to somebody physically, they can touch and feel stuff. They want to deal with someone local most of the time.
Now,
It makes sense.
It makes sense, but it's also, on the other hand, so many people want to scale and they want to keep overhead low. And I mean, having 5 physical locations is a huge overhead.
It is, and the difference between us and other screen printers in the area is that they're tucked away manufacturing in a warehouse district. We're out on a major busy intersection. Okay. Like in Frisco, we're on Main Street in Frisco, and the traffic that goes through there is significant. It's significant. We're in Willow Bend shopping center next to a Starbucks in Plano and next to a Chipotle in McKinney. So it's a high rent district, but you don't look at the rent, you look at the marketing or the branding that you're getting off of that more so.
It's advertising.
Yeah, it's advertising, and every one of our vehicles are fully wrapped with our Groggy Dog brand and our big head. So,
wow.
Yeah.
Do you have your own brand still? Do you still sell? Can I go and buy a Groggy Dog branded T-shirt?
Well, we don't sell them as much as we give them away. We give away between 5,000 and 7,000 free T-shirts a year.
Wow,
that's a bunch.
Yeah. So, well, 3,000 of those start out at North Texas and another 1,000 at TWU. So here's what we found. The best marketing that you can have is with a T-shirt, as long as it's a good quality shirt that somebody wants to wear and it's got a good-looking design on it. So they'll wear it for 2 or 3 years. Or we have people come up and said, my husband has this Groggy Dog T-shirt in the closet. I can't get him to throw it away, and he got it 4 years ago at North Texas. So how much, how many views people have had with that one T-shirt over the 3 to 4 years of that one person. It's
significant, right?
It is very significant.
When I was in college, I pretty much only wore T-shirts. So
yeah, and people give blood for a free T-shirt. Right. We just give it away.
I gave away blood in college for cash. I only found out though that I had the most common blood there was, so I didn't make much money. I'd have had to give it all away.
So just out of curiosity, I mean, you're growing and expanding. How, what has changed in your value proposition from, in the early 2000s till now, right? I mean, are you delivering things in a different way, or?
I don't think that we're delivering in a different way. It's a bigger scale that we're delivering, but we've always just customer service, taking care of the customer has been, I think, why we've grown as fast as we have. Or sure. I wouldn't call it fast, but why we've been steady. Growing. So.
Slow then fast.
Right. Yeah, exactly, yeah.
It was fast for about 6 months there.
Yeah. I mean, we like to think that Groggy Dog is a brand, and that stands for integrity or good customer service. Let me give you a great example of that. And I had nothing to do with this. A church calls us up a couple of weeks ago on a Tuesday, and they're going on an event that weekend. And can you squeeze some shirts in for us? And it's like, sure, we can. Let's get the artwork. Let's get it done. We get it. We're shipping it to them. They're in McKinney. We ship it to them on a Thursday. It's supposed to get there Friday morning with the UPS. They call us up. Hey, we're leaving at 3:30, and the shirts haven't gotten here from UPS. Oh, no. And it's like, so we try to track down UPS. What happened? Well, they lost the package. So our team, they call up our Dallas warehouse, they place the order, they go pick it up, they reprint the shirts and drive it to McKinney to catch the bus. That's awesome. Before they go, so that they're not without it. Now
you've done double the number of shirts.
Yeah, and then, of course, UPS found it on a Monday, but they didn't miss their event, and that's why we call the Groggy Dog way, and that's just the way that we do business. And
I love that. So here's a question, follow that up then. So how do you hire for that? What are you looking for in the interview process? And how do you do that when you're opening 3 stores to maintain that level of service?
Well, there has to be a commitment to the culture of Groggy Dog, and people have to want to work for Groggy Dog and be able to want to do whatever it takes.
Right.
And there has to be a sense of appreciation, or I don't I don't know. They have to appreciate the brand in itself and what we're trying to do. And if people aren't committed to that, then they usually are the ones that make it. And it's taken a while for me to figure out kind of what to interview. You can teach somebody what to do, but you can't really teach them the culture or
the spirit. Right?
Yeah, the spirit of it.
So what do you do now to do that? I mean, is this something that you just interview them yourself and just sort of figure it out and have a gut feel, or do you actually use some sort of like interviewing technique or assessment tool or something like that?
Well, the interviewing technique that we have isn't really, it's not 100% foolproof, but we use an outside HR consultant to sit down with me during the interview, or me and a sales team. But we start with usually Indeed and LinkedIn, and for a position we will have over 100 resumes, and then we pare it down. I try to pare it down to 20 or 15. Then we send it to a HR consultant that does phone interviews, and she knows what we're looking for, and that usually gets pared down to less than 10. Then we will bring people in, then we'll do one-on-one interviews with them at that point.
Wow. So over the last 18 years that you've been in business, you've gone from one location, you're now at 5 locations, your number of employees have gone up dramatically.
Right.
So talk to us about how your personal responsibilities have changed during that period of time. What does your day-to-day look like, and how is it different from—
You still running the machine at night?
Exactly.
I think I printed one T-shirt in the 18 years we've been in business, and they said, "Craig, you don't need to be printing T-shirts." It's like, I agree with you. This isn't for me either. But
I know I can do it though.
No, here in since we started our expansion, I'm trying to work my way out of a job, right now, so that I can manage and work on the business more. So I'm looking for an integrator, somebody that can come in, that can help with the efficiencies, the day-to-day, a good general manager, president, if you will, whatever you want to call it, so that I can work on other things, perfecting it.
You mentioned integrator. So are you using entrepreneurial operating system, EOS, then? I mean, that's a EOS term.
I'm not, but I did read the book, Traction, and that's where it all came from.
Gotcha.
And it's like, that's the person
That's the person you need, right?
I'm the visionary.
You're the visionary.
And I'm not a very good, I can muddle through it, but I'm not doing the company the best benefit. I need somebody else that can come in and do a better job than
that's your
what
next big move then, huh?
Yeah. Yeah, I'll probably start that process very soon. I'm just now starting to work with a new business coach starting in May, so that's going to be one of the main things. So
after 18 years, you've got a business coach?
Finally, yeah.
But now why? I mean, why do you decide you want to do that now? Why haven't you done it before? Well,
probably because I didn't see the value in it until I started using an outside CFO consultant, an HR consultant. They just have so much more knowledge than I do.
Oh.
And I wish that in the very beginning that I'd have started with a business coach. That's probably the most important thing that somebody could do. They look at it as a cost, but it's an investment because it can move you. It can move you.
You don't
so
know
much
what you
faster.
don't know, right?
Exactly.
Well, what is the value of one idea? I mean, that's the thing, or the execution of one idea. Even.
Yeah.
I mean, it's incredible.
Well, I'll give you a brief.
Tell you what, let's do that after the break. We're going to have to take a break. We'll be back in a few minutes.
11:90 a.m.
I'm Tom Bronson. I've just successfully exited Granberry Solutions as president and CEO, and now I'm president of Mastery Partners. And after spending some time with Bob and Stephen, I've discovered that, unfortunately, I was, in fact, the smartest guy in the room.
Welcome back to The Next Level, Conversations that Propel Business. We're here with Craig Jones, owner of Groggy Dog, and you can find them at groggydogonline.com or groggydogspiritwear.com.
So, Craig, I wanted to circle back to the story. You were going to share a story about the wisdom of others, right? And it being an investment versus an expense to have outside help. Mm-hmm. So help make that tangible, because I think every entrepreneur listening to this is probably, majority of us have dealt with that. I know I have.
Mm-hmm. Well, when we started our 5-year plan, I brought in an outside CFO to kind of look at the books and help me along the way with the budgeting forecasting and where we needed to go. And, CFOs are probably the smartest people on earth.
Don't tell them that. I don't want them to know that.
They are very smart people, though. And where we had our production, you have your revenue and your cost of goods, and then we had all of our production down and our wages down, which was below the level. So, or the gross revenue line, which is what the state of Texas will make you pay franchise taxes on. And what we did was we moved all the production up to cost of goods, which the accountant that set our books up didn't really, didn't even think about that or know our business that well when we started in May of 2000. But just moving that to the top line, we were able to save about $8,000 to $10,000 a year on franchise tax. Nice. And go back 3 years and refile and get that money back, plus all the savings that we have moving forward just from that one outside consultant. So that investment paid off.
Yeah, right. There's an ROI on his fee, right?
Right.
As long as he didn't raise it immediately after.
No, that's fantastic. So you use a fractional CFO. So how often do you have him come into the office?
Right now, not as often as I did when I was doing our 5-year and our growth. I'll do about once a year now with them.
And how did you come up with your 5-year plan? You've referred to that a few times, but that was before you had your CFO going on. Was this a function of the grifco.com?
It was, yeah. I started thinking about who and at what dollar amount am I able to sell my company, and where do I want my company to be at that point? So the initial 5-year plan was to move it forward with our individual stores, and then kind of do a checkpoint at that time and see where they were going. Do we want to sell them off individually or what, or franchise?
So the Grifco, did he act like a coach, or what was his involvement?
Well, he has something called the 2% Club. And once you become a part of that, they do all your accounting, all your wealth building for you within your company. So the strategy is that you pull money out of your business to invest it in other things, assets or property or whatever. Because small business owners, if we don't have somebody like that, we'll continue to keep everything in our business. But that's not how you can build the wealth that you need.
So they get you think, Grifco, they get you to think about the exit. And think about investing now, right, outside of your business.
Right. Yeah, and that was the main thing. It was just understanding how a business evaluation is done and the length of time that it takes to sell a business. Or, one thing that you learn is that you can either pick the amount that you need to get out of your business, or you can pick the date that you want to retire. You can't pick both. Meaning that if somebody wanted to retire in 2007, when the business just dropped to nothing and their business went to a valuation of 0 maybe, then they couldn't have done that. So I don't want to be in that part of it. The whole deal starting out was 7 years in, building it as hard as I can to where it needs to be, and then 7 years out, what does that look like of trying to exit that?
So you mentioned a minute ago about franchising, and you meant the way you said it, it sounded like it was maybe an exit strategy to sell some of the 5 locations you currently have. Is there any interest, or have you had any plans to start franchising beyond the 5 so you have a lot more than that?
I did. I'm currently working on that. It is a franchisable business. With the business model that we have, the difference is that Groggy Dog Denton, our manufacturing facility, to do it correct and to support these franchisees, I really need to make sure that our efficiencies are in place there in Denton, because if you open it up where you have a franchise and you can set them up, I'm learning that you can set them up to succeed very fast with the model. I had to go through some tough times, of learning that, whether it was not hiring the right people or not having all the procedures in place of how you hit the ground running. But now it's a whole different business model for me, because I would become a contract printer for them. So they would do all of their printing through us and be a franchise.
Yeah, I would think that you couldn't control the quality if they were able to go get the printing done through some other source in their town.
Right. Yeah, I wouldn't want the brand to be a part of that. So it would be a regional franchise of state of Texas and maybe Oklahoma, just a few in Oklahoma, Arkansas, Louisiana. That is one-day ship UPS.
I used to hear people say that, whenever they would talk about expansion plans, they would say we can expand as far as we can fly from Southwest
Right.
from Love Field without having to change planes. Well, now the Wright Amendment's gone, so that's a much bigger area than it used to be. But then you can ship, same day on Southwest freight. So to that extent, you could go anywhere, right?
You could, yeah. I mean, it would be very costly to do that as far as getting people their product, but all of that is a ways down. Now I could go find a good contract printer that I trusted and, vet them and make sure that they have the quality that we would be looking at, and then take that same model to a different state and say, you have to use this contract printer. I could do that.
So we've talked a lot about the success you guys have. We've talked about a few of the bumps, but you had this vision, 5-year plan. What are some of the major threats or competitors that you face? I mean,
well, definitely online is one that you have to deal with, because they're offering a product out there that is very inexpensive. So the customer that's shopping price or just looking at that, they don't understand the value that going with you necessarily brings in. So
because a T-shirt's a T-shirt, right? Big deal.
Well, yeah, until you miss that date that you have.
Well, just the quality. It seems
the
like
quality
the quality
of it, right?
Can vary widely.
Yeah, and we use on our hard goods, soft goods we control, but our hard goods we only use our top A+ rated suppliers. So we have a 30-day guarantee on all of our stuff.
Which means
it's a satisfaction guarantee, meaning that we're going to make it right no matter what.
Huh.
So if the pen doesn't work, if the silk screen starts peeling off, whatever it is.
Right. You can walk into one of our showrooms, or you can call us on the phone, and we take care of it. I mean, that's how you build a good, consistent brand. When you're using an online service like that, you're not going to be talking to the same person all the time and, know what you get.
Sure.
And then you're stuck with it.
So how do you make that case to a prospect? I mean, when they're looking online at something for, $6 and it's going to cost them $7 or $8 or $9, whatever the difference is with you, how do you?
Well, they have to use us to see the difference that we bring, and to do that, it's tough. They have to trust us, and that's hard to do initially getting started. But once we get that first order with them, then we have to provide for them.
So it's experience.
And maybe they have to go through the experience before, almost like you had to go through, like, hey, and it's an expense, but then you realize a few dollars more might be an investment to reduce insanity.
Yeah, for sure, yeah.
Quick question. I mean, long tenure in your business, right? Mm-hmm. What would you say has been kind of zeroing down on you? What's been your single character trait that's kept you successful?
Well, probably... I'm a continual learner. I'm a hard worker. Probably grit. That never give up attitude. And you guys are in business. You know that things happen. I mean, when we started in May of 2000, what happened September 2000, and and then came back the Great Recession after that, and businesses that make it through that, it's tough. But there's been 4 times I probably should have been out of business, but you just keep on going. You find a way, and you scratch and claw, and if you don't have that grit as a small business owner, sometimes that's why you're going to go out of business.
And, that's a key difference between employees and business owners. When I was an employee, even though I was in a management position where I had a lot of people working with me, we were always trying to find a compensation structure that really motivated them, got them to do the things we wanted them to do that really moved the needle in the company, but were things that they actually had control over. And what we found was that the employees were always kind of, not sandbagging, that's not the right term, but they were always trying to show the reasons why something happened that was beyond their control. And that may have been true, but as a business owner,
You just paid for results.
yeah, it doesn't matter what the reasons are. It could be, something happening in China or Iran or who knows where. It doesn't matter. It still has an effect on your bottom line.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, so the grit to keep going is a huge difference.
So what's next, Craig?
I'm going to evaluate, work with business coach, see where we want to take the company. Financially, that's not important. It's what, those 45 employees that we have, what's best for them and their families. So that's what keeps you getting up in the morning. And I love going to work. I love Groggy Dog. It's fun.
Well, it sounds like you've been growing it pretty good and, providing a lot of jobs. So that's always a great thing. So I'm anxious to see whether or not you do the franchise thing or what. But anyway, thanks so much for being our guest today, Craig. We've really enjoyed it. For our listeners, please go to groggydogonline.com or groggydogspiritwear.com.
Help spread the word. You guys know someone that may benefit from the wisdom shared today, so help get the word out.
And you can go to nextlevelshow.com for all of our past episodes. And if you want to find us on the podcast, The Next Level Show.
Have a great week.
Bye.